Okay, Sean Lander.
Tim Hayden.
Sean Lander, number one, I believe, not
Yes,
number
one.
not number two.
One.
Okay. Thank you very much for literally opening up your bedroom.
That's all right.
And COVID-19. What did it do to you?
It didn't really do anything to me because I'm very used to working from home. So I've been doing it for 20 years. A lot of my colleagues are freaking out.
I'm not freaking out. Yeah. I'm not, really. I'm not.
You know, obviously there's a lot less work around now because the filming, and when you have no filming, then you have no editing. Sort of waiting for a job that was coming up, and I was just about to start, and then that got COVID. At the same time, I was doing some work with Daryl Summers and working on the archive of Hey Hey It's Saturday. So I've been doing a bit of that at home and at his office. We were looking at repurposing the archive. There's a lot of demand. I guess as the boomers get more sentimental, they're beginning to think about those things. And
Ozzy actually was funny.
yeah, and also a lot of those famous people from the 70s, 80s, and 90s are celebrating milestones, or they're pegging off, sadly, or something's happening. So there was a lot of call to John Farnham's turned 70. Can we remember what he was like? Or,
like I can remember the opening sequence to Hawaii Five-0 when I was a kid. Every Saturday night, 7:30. Jack Lord in 90-mile-an-hour wind without his hair moving. Love that opening sequence.
Yep.
Later, when I learned about editing, I thought, oh, this is like I can do Hawaii Five-0. I can edit to the frame here.
Yes.
And I realised how much fun that was. What was it that bit you, and like how old were you?
My parents got this thing in the mail. It was like, buy 2 years worth of film and you get a free camera. And I guess it's a bit like printer ink, because the printer ink is the gold. It's the printers are expendable.
But 2 years worth of film with 3-minute cartridges.
Correct. So they didn't really see how it was working, but it worked for me anyways. As soon as I saw the film and stuck it in there, I've had to start making films with all my friends in the street.
How old were you?
I was 12, 13.
Okay.
Yeah, 12 probably. Like I used to do rudimentary editing, but because it was just look at it and cut it with a pair of scissors and then glue it. Put it in the projector, make your cuts in your head, and then, do this. So my parents bought me, I've still got it, just a little editor. It was doing that, pulling it out, cut it, had a little bit of tape that you could pull across.
Yep.
And cut it, had a little guillotine in there. And so then I learned the art of how to build tension.
Yeah.
So I could intercut. I did my first intercut. So intercutting, so you do a scene, I had a scene where someone was running across a field and they were getting shot at.
And you're combining it with another scene.
That's right. So you could film all the guys shooting.
Yeah.
And then you could film all the guys running, and then you could intercut that.
Yeah.
And that was like, whoa, that was just a revelation. How much power and tension you've.
That part of my brain just opened up.
Yeah, and showing it to all the kids are going, oh my God, this is like a proper film, Instead of So that's how it kind of started. And I just thought, whatever I do, I have to work in this industry. It just looks like so much fun.
So what? You just went to normal high school?
Yeah, normal high school.
Yep.
Finished high school and then tried to there's only 2 film schools back then.
Swinburne and AFTS. Yeah.
There you go. So, and applied for both of those, but didn't have any luck. I had a cousin once removed who worked at the ABC, and he tried to pull some strings for me. It didn't really come off. So I went to the next best thing and started working in a toy store. And then met a girl who was doing acting workshops.
Yep.
And run by an ex-ABC director who'd set up his own little production house. He was doing corporate videos, but he was mainly running acting schools. And I was, 18. So she said, he's doing a 1 day a week production course where he just teaches the basics in filming and editing and stuff like that. His name was John Gauchi. And I said, can I do your course? And he said, yep, absolutely.
For a fee?
For a fee. It was $150 or something. It wasn't much. Anyway, so I quit my job.
Yep.
John said, you're a bit of a natural. I love filming. I was good at shooting, pretty good at cutting. It was on U-matic top loaders.
Yep. Oh,
with the old Sony's.
Oop, I think it's chewing the tape. Quick, eject it.
Yeah. Actors would come in during the week and they would perform their little pieces with 2 cameras.
Yep.
Would cut live and would produce those little things at the end of every night, and then they'd sit down and they would watch it back. Yep. And then he would critique their performances. So some pretty big name actors actually came through there. And it was great for me because I was right in there and I was cutting drama. After my 10 weeks, he offered me a job. He said, I can't really pay you, but I can only pay you if we get work. I didn't care. Do anything to get my foot in the door and get the experience, and then stuck with him, and his little business grew and grew, and he started getting TV shows up.
He had his sort of like ongoing business thing, but he was always also putting proposals to networks.
Correct, yeah. He loved making television and movies. And the first thing that I worked on as a focus puller was a kids' TV series, 8 parts.
When someone you don't like yells your name quite loud.
We had an ABC editor on for the first couple of episodes, and then he had to go. I think he was doing a feature film or a documentary. So
But if the game's up and you make
John was happy for me to take over. I'd been assisting him, and then I took over and cut.
Plus, you've been working under his direction.
Correct.
Yeah.
So so I finished the series.
I trust my trunk has arrived in one piece.
Sean, just bloody do it that way, okay?
Yeah, no, I learned a lot.
On you.
Yeah, it was great, great training ground. Other little things, bits and pieces. So I was always going out filming. One of his best mates worked for Sony.
Yep.
And
that's handy.
Very handy. He said, I've got this great new fantastic technology coming out. You should try it. It's called Betacam.
So this is camcorder.
Yeah. And so he got one.
Yeah.
And so I started filming. I became one of the first cameramen using Betacam, apart from the news networks.
So much better than Pneumatic and recorder.
Fast, yeah. 86, I edited as an operator my first feature film.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
It was called The Bit Part. Had Nicole Kidman in it,
Right.
which was 18. So everything's going really well. Cutting feature films, doing drama, corporate, and then kids.
Yeah.
And then, marriage.
Oh, you mean your own kids?
My own kids.
Right.
And that's kind of throws a spanner in the works when you're 23, I think it was, 23. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It's a fair, good age to have a crack.
Good age to get started, I guess, if you're financially, but these things pay not that well.
No.
And if it's, it might be 6 months of work if you're lucky, in total. So I was freelancing also as a soundo, camera assist, doing that sort of stuff. And it wasn't paying the bills. So Gauchi basically said, look, I think it's really time for you to get out and get a proper job.
Get a real job.
Yeah.
Back to the toy shop? Or?
No. At a place called BDV6.
Oh, so you did go back to the toy shop?
Yeah.
And then winter came.
And then winter came. My
like being
God,
back
I
in
think
Canada.
even living in Canada, I don't think I'd ever been as cold as living in Ballarat. Good experience though, producing, what was it called, the late edition? You'd do
That's
that.
right. I used to love doing that.
Yeah. So you would produce your own news show for the night, and
an entire 20-minute show.
Yeah. Another kid on the way, so looking at the wages, not a lot of scope to really go much higher. But a gig became available at the ABC. My wife was putting pressure on me. Look, we can't keep earning this sort of money.
Heating bills in Ballarat
Heating
alone,
bills in Ballarat. Yeah, exactly. So I went down.
3 committee meetings later.
3 committee meetings later. Okay, here's the panel. Okay, you can come in now. You're sitting. It was like an interrogation, and then they rang me up the next week. Said, "When would you like to start?" So when I got there, I realised that news was occupied by mostly film editors who had only just been forced into using Betacam. So they knew depressed film editors. So they knew even less about it than I did. And 3 machines, so you could actually do dissolves. Very quickly tore through the ranks of the ABC because I ended up training all the senior editors, and within a year I was the lead 7:30 Report editor and lasted there for a couple of years, and then became very good friends with the executive producer Phil Chubb, And he scored a massive documentary, and we did a thing called Labour and Power. And
It's brought down more than one government.
yeah. We had the entire archive of the ABC available to us, plus everything else we were going to be shooting. Interviewed every minister.
I believe that a drover's dog could lead the Labour Party to victory.
You feel a little embarrassed tonight at the blood that's on your hands.
Looking at that, there was talk of, we can't really do it on videotape. We need to. There's a new fandangled computer system coming out, and there's two of them. One's called Lightworks, and the other one's called Avid. I think they saw it as an opportunity to really get it into the building.
And with that technical boffin aspect at the ABC, you will quickly get support for something sort of new and fandangled.
They created a new department called the Political Documentary Unit. To be honest, I actually fell in love with Lightworks looking at it. I thought it was more user-friendly, more organic. ABC looked at it, looked at the two and came back with, no, we think Avid's actually better. It's got better back end. And to be fair, they were completely correct. I was lucky that I'd been editing film to begin with.
Yeah.
Because the concept of non-linear computer-based editing to videotape editors was a complete foreign, they just didn't get it. So I became the trainer. And it was interesting because the film editors would come over from Car Street, and they'd just get it like that, just like I did. They just go, oh yeah, film, this is great. And then you pull the guys out of videotape and show it to them, and they just go, no, this doesn't make any sense at all. So it was way too organic for them. They just wanted to punch in time codes. And there's no wheel, or anything. So yeah.
Where's the wheel?
Yeah.
Where's my wheel? Do you really do that?
yeah. And we produced a 5-part documentary series.
One of the greatest partnerships in Australia's political history ended as destiny demanded.
Won Logie, won everything that it went into, did extraordinarily well. And then as a way of saying thank you, the ABC said, okay, well, that's great. That political thing's worked out really well. But we don't have a position for you now, so because everyone's taken your job back at News. And I thought, to hell with it. There's no future for me at the ABC anymore. Time to move on. And so I went to Current Affair. Going back to linear tape.
Your career had to go on.
I felt that.
Despite winning a Logie. Despite making this incredible show. Despite pioneering non-linear.
Yeah.
It was pioneering stuff. And despite reaching that pinnacle, suddenly, you're thinking, I'm at a dead end.
Yeah, I guess my whole career, I was always reinventing myself, and I loved that. I was always, it seemed to be about every 2 years, I'd kind of think that I was looking for the next thing. I always loved Channel 9. I loved what they did on the Sunday program with Charles Woolley and things like that. They were really, and sports, and they were really pushing the boundaries, and I loved what they were doing with editing. Always got me really excited.
And if you gave them something, they would get excited.
It was a great experience because at the ABC, there's not a lot of trust in editors. And my first day at Channel 9, the journalist walked in and said, here's the tapes, here's the script, I'll see you later. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what, really?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And that's just the way it was, because they expected that you knew what you were doing. And they didn't call any shots. It was up to you to decide on the sound ups, everything. So it was a baptism of a fire, and it was great. Scary as hell at first, because the deadlines were tight, really tight. So you learnt to be really, really fast and make decisions on the fly. But the show itself, it was in a downhill sort of race to the bottom against Real Life, I think it was called back then on Channel 7.
Otherwise known as Still Life.
Still Life. Yeah. So we were getting more and more sort of stories like Housewives from Hell and...
The plot thickens.
She's basically a prisoner.
Just really...
These days they make entire programs out of that, Sean.
They do, yeah. But back then it was really sticking in my craw. No one is really doing much with Avid. I'd had this fantastic experience. It got right to the very top of the sort of pecking order at this program. Phil wanted to keep doing more political documentaries, but the ABC just kind of wound it up after Labour and Power. Didn't really want to do any more. So I was pestering Phil to get out and start our own business. Avid, very keen for me to do that as well. A bunch of us got together, we raised some money and we started our own company. We hocked everything. I sold my motorbike for the first time, sold a whole bunch of other stuff.
So everyone threw money in.
Everyone threw money. There was 5 of us. We ended up buying one on the proviso that we'd provide trading. We got it for half price. We wanted to do more political documentaries. On the back of the Avid, we'd run Avid courses and